Welcome everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a quick video. It's just going to run through the menu system of the X-Terra Pro. I'm just going to show you what each button does and the different functions of the machine. So to start your X-Terra Pro, you're going to long press on the power button and it is going to load up. Alright, so let's just run through the screen. On the top left here, you've got your battery indicator. So this is going to tell you how much battery life you've got left on your machine. The top bar here, this is your discrimination. We're not going to run into details about everything right now. I think I'm going to do another video on each actual point and we can discuss them further. This is just a brief overview of what everything is. So discrimination, just know this is your discrimination pattern up here. On the left here, this is your sensitivity bar, your sensitivity indicator. Your target ID numbers will come up over here. This is what frequency we've set the machine to, and this is currently what mode we are in. So let's go through the buttons on the top first. So we've already used the top one, that was our power button. That's how we start up the machine and how we power down the machine. The next button down here, it's your light. So you can press it once and you will get a nice orange backlight screen. So I'm going to leave that on and you will see now we have a new indication on the screen showing that the light is on. So there's a third button, top right over here. We can press this and this is our Bluetooth button if you're trying to connect some the Minelab Bluetooth headphones to the machine. If you're not using the Minelab Bluetooth headphones, rather switch it off because it's just going to eat into your battery life and we don't need that unnecessarily. So we're going to leave that off for now. Right, so off the bat, how we can manipulate some of the functions straight off the screen. The most common and most important one is going to be your sensitivity, which is this indicator on the left part of the screen. And it's very simple. To increase your sensitivity, all you do is you use the plus button. And you can see that the level is rising and we can set it to whatever level we want, up to 25. Now we're on max sensitivity, we can't go any higher. You want to reduce it, you simply just press the negative button, plus or minus, and that's going to sort out your sensitivity. I'm going to keep it quite low in here because I'm indoors and I don't want the machine to be beeping, but that is how you change your sensitivity. Probably the most important function of your machine when you're out on the field. Quick and easy, plus and minus, depending on the scenario where you are. Simply increase or decrease your sensitivity of your machine. Alright, let's move along to the next thing. Over here we have our mode. So at the moment I've got it in Park 2 mode. To change mode, you simply hit the mode button over here and this will change through on Field 1, Field 2, Beach 1, Beach 2, Park 1 and Park 2. So I don't want to go into too much details, but basically each mode has a different setting. So for example, they recommend Park 1 for general hunting and coins and larger jewelry, if you're in a trashy kind of area, your public parks, that kind of thing, then you're going to keep it on your Park 1 mode. Now, bear in mind, it's preset modes, it uses set frequencies and set recovery speed. So when you change mode, it's gonna change that. So like Park 2, for example, is better for low conductive targets because it will be using a higher frequency and a different recovery speed. So it just depends where you're hunting, the different places. If you want to be on a field mode, these are better for your hammered coins and on open pastures and plowed fields, those kind of things, you're going to use the field mode. If you're on the beach, naturally, you're going to use the beach mode. Beach 1 for your dry sand, even a bit of your wet sand, but in my testing, beach mode 2 is actually better for wet sand and in the shallow water. So those are your different modes and that is how you change to your different modes. And then over here, this is the frequency that we've actually selected to use. This is our frequency button here. This machine, the X-Terra Pro, you can manually change the frequency. So in in park mode, you can use 5, 10, or 15 kilohertz as your frequency that you would like to use. Those are the only 3 options you have. When you get to beach mode, however, you can only use 8 kilohertz. You can't change that. They figure that's your best frequency for the saltwater noise and to calm the machine down under these beach setting conditions. So you can't change it under beach mode. But in field and park modes, you can manually select. It's not a simultaneous multi-frequency machine, so it's not going to use a whole lot of frequencies at once. You have to manually select which one you want. And just a quick brief rundown on frequencies, very brief, is the lower the frequency, so in this case 5 kilohertz, you're going to get the most depth, and it's better for large targets, and it's also better for high conductive metals, something like silver or something like that, no problem. The lower the frequency. When you start wanting to go with a low conductive metal like gold, or a smaller, finer kind of jewelry, like a really tiny piece of, like the back of an earring stud or something like that, then you want to use the higher frequency. You're going to want to go to 15 kilohertz. Sorry, not that one, this one. 15 kilohertz in those conditions. So you'll kind of determine which frequency you want to use for the conditions you're in and for the type of targets you're looking for. Right, let's just go into the settings. So hit this button here, the gear icon is your settings button, and we get to the first one here, which is your noise cancel. Now this is always a good idea to do. As you start up your machine, your first thing you want to do is do a noise cancel. So you go to your settings and you just hit the accept reject button, and it does a little noise cancel for you, finds the best channel to work with, which in this case was -7, and it will be the most cleanest channel. So if there's overhead power lines or Wi-Fi signals, like I'm indoors here, whatever, it's trying to find the cleanest signal to work that won't interfere with your machine. So once that's done, we can just hit the pinpoint button and start detecting. But we want to run through everything, so we're going to go back into settings. So we've done the noise cancel. The very next one is going to be your ground balance. Now again, I don't want to go into much details about ground balancing or anything like that. I'm going to do separate videos that's not going to be specific to a machine, but it will be like a video on ground balancing, why we do it, how to do it, etc. But for now, just know that this is your ground balance screen, and to do the auto ground balance, just hold down this accept reject button while pumping your machine coil to the ground, up and down, just off the ground while holding it, and the machine will automatically come up with the best number, the ground balance setting for those conditions you're in. If you'd like to manually use your ground balance, you can also manually plus or minus to the setting that you want for those conditions. And also bear in mind, you can use a ground balance tracking, which all you have to do is, sorry, this button here, accept reject, just hold it down, you're going to get the ground balance tracking icon up there, and that means you can now, it'll automatically track the ground conditions as you're moving along to a new patch of ground. So you won't have to sit and actually do a ground grab basically every time you move to a new piece of land. So that's how you do it. So again, literally, I'm just going to go back here into the settings, and here's your ground balance, ground tracking. If you want to switch it off, just hit the accept reject button again, and then the auto ground balance will be off. All right, so third setting on the menu is just our volume. That's easy. You want your volume louder, put it up. If you want your volume softer, you put it down. So that's easy. Plus or minus, adjust your volume. However, be advised that there is an advanced setting in here. So if you hold down the settings button here, we now go to the ferrous tone volume. So this is where you can set your basically your ferrous or your iron volume if you want that to be different from your from your standard volume, you can make it louder or softer in here. So most people will want their iron volume softer, and this is the menu where you can come in to adjust your iron volume. To get out of that again, you just hold down the settings button for a while and we'll go back into the standard volume plus or minus. Just one other thing I want to show you in this specific menu, which some people don't know, is it's also where you'll switch on and off your vibrate in your handle. So you can just hold down the frequency button and now you get the vibration icon up here, and now you can actually feel vibration whenever there's a target. And if you want to switch it off, you can just hold down the frequency button again and it's gone, and now there's no vibration in the handle. So that's how you'd switch on and off your vibration of the machine, adjust the volume, and go to the advanced setting and you can adjust the iron volume. Alright, next is your threshold. This is your threshold. At the moment it's on 0, so you can't hear any threshold. If you want to hear a threshold, you just put it up to whatever level you're comfortable hearing the threshold. I'm just going to put it loud so you can hear what a threshold sounds like. This should always be set, if you want to use it, just so you can slightly hear like an audible hum, so that it's not too loud and uncomfortable in your ears. And what a threshold basically will help you with is, if you are discriminating out targets, once you get over a target, you'll actually hear the hum stop. So it'll actually break that threshold and it'll blank it out, and then it'll continue again once you've passed that target. So you will actually know that you're over a target that's been discriminated out. And also, if you want to hear really deep targets, you might just hear a faint change in that threshold hum, and you know it might be worth investigating more. But that's basically your threshold. Some people like to work with a threshold, some do not, but that is how you switch your threshold on and off. Right, let's move along. This is our tones, the tones. So this machine can have a different, you can set it to either being one tone. So now any target, doesn't matter what you go over, you're only going to hear the same tone, the same pitch. It's going to sound the same for every single target you go over. 2, you're going to hear a variation between your ferrous and your non-ferrous. 5, you're going to have different tone breaks depending if it's a high conductive or low conductive metal you've gone over. I like to use 5 tone for myself. This is all tones, so every single discrimination patch is going to have a different pitch. So you're going to have quite a few different pitching sounds coming out of all tones. Some people prefer that. And this one is your depth tone. So what the depth tone will do is, if it's a really shallow target and you're right on top of it, it's going to be really loud. And if it's a really far from the coil and it's a deep target, it's going to be really soft. So you're using depth to determine your sound basically. So again, I prefer it on 5 tones. So it's just again plus or minus to get to whatever you prefer. So tones 5, I'm happy with that. Discrimination, okay. So I'll tick and a cross over here. This is our accept, reject. It's basically what we want this top discrimination bar to show. So for example, let's move over to, let's go 12. Let's say, for example, I don't want to pick up 12s on this machine. I can now say I actually don't want it, so let's press it. Now you see there's a gap over there in the top bar, which is the 12, and we won't hear any target. So if we go over a target that's 12, you're not going to hear it at all. I don't suggest doing that, because you're going to miss some good targets as well. But if you're specifically looking for something, you know that it's not within a certain range, and you're picking up that other target that's irritating you all the time, and you want to not hear that, you can go in here, switch it off so you don't pick up that target. To switch it back on, you just move your cursor, your plus or minus, back to the area where you are, and you can press the accept reject button again and it will switch it back on. So if you wanted to switch out a block or turn off a block, simply go to the block, go to your next block, whatever block you don't want, and plus or minus it, and you can make your own discrimination pattern at the top. Again, I honestly don't like discriminating out, so I will keep it all on, except for ferrous. I don't want to hear the ferrous stuff, and I would keep the rest on. So that's discrimination. Let's chat on. So that's your discrimination, how to discriminate between different targets. I think there is an advanced setting here as well. Here you go. So if you hold down the settings button in the discrimination menu system, then this will be your tone break. So you can actually set where you want your ferrous versus your non-ferrous tones to start. So for example, I'd be happy with my ferrous to go all the negative numbers up to 0. I want that to be ferrous. After that, I want to be non-ferrous. These little bars indicating here is because I've selected 5 tones. So these are where my tone breaks are going to be for the different pitch going up after each bar. But right now we're just setting the ferrous thing. So if I wanted ferrous to maybe be a little bit higher, I could actually set it to 8, for example. And then whenever you get a target that hits up to 8, it's going to show as ferrous. So you're going to get that iron sounding signal versus your non-ferrous good sounding signals. You can also adjust it to -4 if you don't want it to be too high and you want to be rather cautious. For me, again, I set it at 0. That's where I want my break to be from ferrous to non-ferrous. So you can set it up to 16 is the maximum it will let you go. But that's how you change it. To get out of the advanced setting, again, just hold down the settings button and you enter the normal discrimination menu system. Then we have one more. If you press this again and we have our recovery speed. You've got an option from 1 to 3. 3 being your fastest recovery speed and 1 being your slowest. So again, I'll do another video on recovery speed, why you'd want to change different settings on your recovery speed, but just know that that is where you go on your X-Terra Pro to set your recovery speed. Then obviously you've got your pinpoint button over here. So we've been through the settings menu. So once you've located your target, you can hit the pinpoint button once and you can go into pinpoint mode. To get out of pinpoint mode, you simply press it again. Lastly, we've got this little iron horseshoe. This is to go into all metal mode. Doesn't matter what your discrimination pattern that you've set at the top is. Once you hit the all metal mode, you're going to see everything from your iron ferrous stuff all the way up to your high conductive targets. You're going to see everything. You're not going to miss anything. You press it again and you're going to go back into your discrimination pattern. As you can see, we've blanked out our iron and we're picking up everything else. And there you go. That's basically the X-Terra Pro, the menu system, how to change your different settings, the different functions of the machine. And yeah, leave a shout out in the comments if you like this video. If you want to see different types of videos, let me know. But thank you for watching and we'll catch you again on the next video.